Hi guys and welcome to today's video, and today is a real weird one for me because I'm filming this at the end of my 6th week of pregnancy, but I'm obviously not going to upload it until we're after the 12-week period and we know that everything's good and it's good to tell everyone about it. So it's really strange to actually be sitting down and talking about the fact not only that I'm pregnant, because that just feels so alien to me, it doesn't feel real at all, but also the fact that I'm giving you my first 3 weeks of updates, because I was initially planning to do a 4-week update, 5-week update, 6-week update, but my 4th and 5th week, as I'll kind of go into more detail, were very similar, and I didn't feel like it quantified a video in itself because it would have been really boring, but kind of my 6th week has began to get a little bit more intense, and it's really reminding me that I'm pregnant, and it just feels so weird. So I just wanted to sit down and tell you the difference between the weeks so far. I've watched so many of these videos kind of leading up to this point, and I've worried where some people have had symptoms straight away, some haven't, and it's really difficult to know where you should be. Obviously each pregnancy is so different, so I just thought I'd share my experience so far. I'm hoping that because I'm beginning to get a few more symptoms now, that I'll be able to do weekly updates for you, but we'll kind of see what happens, and if I feel like I need to bunch them up, I will do, just because sometimes it's a bit easier to do that than just draw out a video for no reason. So if you want to find out my 4th, 5th and 6th week update so far, then just keep on watching. So I'm going to start from the very beginning, and I've taken notes on my phone throughout this whole pregnancy so far. So I basically found out on week 4, and my weeks turn over every Wednesday, and I found out on the Sunday, so I was 4 and a little bit weeks into it, and my period lengths kind of vary between 30 to 34 days, and I found out a day later than I was due on according to my Flow app, and I kind of didn't expect it. I had a really hormonal day that day, and when you're trying to conceive, you literally take any possible symptom and you think, could this be that I'm pregnant? And when I took the pregnancy test, I didn't expect to see it positive. I had done so many negative tests before, and when you see the same thing over and over, you just don't expect to see anything different. But when I saw a faint line on the cheapy ones, which I actually filmed my whole reaction to find out I was pregnant, so I'll link that above if you want to watch it. It's hilarious. Even me watching it back now, I'm oh my god, that feels so long ago. But I kind of talk more there about the experience of actually finding out and how I felt in that moment. But to see a faint positive line, I could not believe it. I then proceeded to take about 5 more pregnancy tests that night just to I just couldn't believe it. I just had to keep taking them just to believe it in myself. And that's when I told Rich the morning after I found out. So the day that I found out, I just felt so hormonal. I was honestly, I was crying. I had a really bad day. Rich works nights, and I just felt so overwhelmed with the idea of just I felt I was on my own a lot, and looking back, I was just at home watching Grey's Anatomy all day. I don't know why I was so upset, and I'm so used to it. This isn't a new thing for us. We've been doing this for years. It works for us and it's absolutely fine. But for some reason that day I was just so hormonal, and I always find that coming up to my period, I have those kind of wobbly days where I'm so high on emotions. So I just thought, oh, my period's probably coming, and I think that's why I took a test, because I thought if it's negative then I know I'll probably come on the next day. But unbeknown to me, it was positive, and basically that was how I found out, and I told Rich the next day. Other than that, I had no symptoms whatsoever. Week 4, I felt my body wasn't necessarily telling me that I was pregnant that early on. I know that so many people wake up with morning sickness and they think, oh my god, I must be pregnant, or things like that, where they may have nausea, whatever. But for me, it was literally just that one hormonal day, and I think if I hadn't have had that day, I probably would have just kept waiting for my period, would have realised it wouldn't have come, and then found out. So yeah, that was kind of the day that I found out, and how, and the reasons why I decided to test. I then rang up my doctor's surgery and made an appointment with my GP, and that was on the Tuesday. So I found out on Easter Sunday, and because the Monday was a bank holiday, my local doctor's is shut on bank holidays, and so I had to wait till Tuesday to just see a GP and just have that conversation about the fact that I've had a positive pregnancy test and just like next steps. And honestly, that Monday was horrid, like waiting to call the doctors, because you have to call them up early on a Tuesday morning and you have to hopefully get an appointment. But luckily the GP saw me the evening time, so I work until 5 p.m. and they managed to actually fit me in. I think it was like 10 to 7, so that was really ideal, and Rich came with me as well. So at that appointment they basically asked when the first date of my last period was, which I keep it all on the Flow app, which I use to like track my periods as soon as I came off the pill, and I found that really helpful actually. Like, my biggest worry about not taking the pill was not knowing when my period was going to come, but that app was so good. And by judging when the first day of my last period was, my due date is the 5th of December, which is so exciting. I can't believe that I could have a baby by Christmas. It's insane. Like, even saying it out loud, I'm like, I don't even believe that. It's so weird. And because not many people know at this stage, it's so weird. So in terms of my 4-week update, that was kind of it. We hadn't told anyone else. It was just me and Richard knew. We were 4 weeks in and all we had was positive pregnancy test, and I had that one hormonal day. And for the rest of the week, I hadn't really had any symptoms or anything like that. But I then made a note 5 weeks and 4 days in saying still no symptoms. I felt like a little bit worried at that stage where I felt like I should be beginning to have some symptoms. But that was kind of it, you know, no symptoms at that stage. I then ordered some cards, and when we like told our parents, which I'll tell you about in a moment, we like gave them like little cards that like said the due date of the baby and things like that. So that was really cool. But we ordered them in week 5 and we planned to tell them in week 6. We wanted enough time just to make sure that like nothing happened immediately, and I know that we can't, you know, prepare if anything happens up until like safer times. But we really wanted to tell our parents soon. We knew they'd be so excited for us, and it was so hard to keep a secret for like just the two of us. It was like so hard. So we ordered those cards, and the idea of like telling people began to like really freak me out. And I think that was just because it made it real. Up until this stage, like I said, only Rich and I knew. And there's something in my mind that doesn't quite believe that we're having a baby. Like, even now, I'm saying this out loud and it does not feel real that we're going to be having a baby. It's so weird. So towards the end of the 5th week, I began to have mild bloating, and I've written here that my stomach feels really hard. And before I became pregnant, I would suffer with really bad bloat. It was just like a real problem for me. I'd gone to doctors before. I'd gone to doctors about being pregnant and kind of explained that I would get bloated so easily. It seemed to be when I had certain foods of certain food groups, but it was really difficult to like say, oh, it was just dairy or it was just gluten, because they were so like irregular and it wasn't just one specific food group. And I'd gone to doctors and they gave me like nothing. Like, they told me like no reason as to why it was happening, which was like so annoying. So I found that I'm kind of getting the same of that, but like slightly worse, which is so horrible. Like, there's nothing worse than being bloated, because you just feel like you're massive and your clothes don't fit very nicely. And I've written here that I've just in so much disbelief that I'm pregnant, and I'm so desperate for something to confirm 100%. And it's really weird because even at this stage now, the only thing that's confirming that I'm pregnant is obviously the pregnancy test, and also like that my period hasn't come. But in the UK you don't get like a initial blood test or urine sample or anything like that until you have your booking appointment. And so it's really weird waiting until that date to like someone to say 100% you are pregnant. And it's so weird because you know that you are, but until someone actually tells you, it's so weird. I don't know if that's just me, but I'm probably just being really weird. But in my head I'm like, I can't believe it. So weird. We then came into the 6th week, which is the week that we're in now, and we told our family in the 6th week. And like I said, we had ordered these little reveal cards, which was so cute. It had like a little calendar on the front, and it said baby Kirk, and then a little calendar and a little like baby feet in December, and then it kind of just said like love, Amy and Rich. And we gave those to like both of our parents on the Wednesday of the 6th week, which was like 6th week one day. We went to Rich's parents, we gave them the card, they opened it, and like everyone was so surprised but like so happy for us. And again, the day after, we went to my mum's, and my mum, dad and my sister were there. My sister goes to uni at the moment, so it was really nice that she was actually home to tell her, and it was her last day at home before she went back after Easter. So we decided to do it then just to coincide with the dates that she was home. And again, we gave them the card, and my mum was like, oh my god, and like my mum was like crying, and she was always going to react like so over the top because my mum is just so excited for anything that we do. And my dad like had the wrong glasses on, so he didn't know what the card said, and he had to change it around. And then when he was like finally focused on it, he was like, oh my god. So yeah, that was really weird, like telling people, and like now knowing that people know that I'm pregnant, so weird. I don't know why, but it just feels so weird. At the beginning of the 6th week, I began to feel like sick, but in like the pit of your stomach, and the only way that I can really describe it, and it's only because I've like felt this feeling like last year when we went to Florida, and you know when you're sat on a roller coaster and you're so anxious and you have that like sickness that sits at the bottom of your stomach, and you know you're not going to throw up, but it's just like a tingly sensation that comes in flutters. Like that's how I feel like I have been from the beginning of this week. And it's just really bizarre because like through week 4 and week 5 I was just praying that I would get like a symptom like morning sickness that would almost qualify the fact that I was pregnant, because I didn't feel it other than that one day that I tested positive. And now I'm just like beginning to feel this like tingly sensation of sickness, and I'm like, I don't want it anymore, please do not want it. So beginning to feel that, I just thought, oh no, I spoke too soon. So the weekend of the 6th week has kind of just like been and gone, and throughout that weekend we went shopping on the Saturday morning. We woke up quite early, went into town, did some shopping. I was knackered all day long, and as soon as we got home I got back in my pyjamas and I fell asleep in the afternoon. Like I had a proper like afternoon nap, and then when I went to bed that night, I went to bed at about 11 and I didn't wake up until like 10 the next morning. It was so weird, and I've just been feeling so tired. So I definitely like caught up on sleep over the weekend. I think I was asleep for longer than I was awake, and which was really bad. But it also felt really good. Like I just feel like I don't necessarily feel like it's necessarily a lack of energy, but my body's just been craving so much sleep. And I think because I have such a routine where I work full time and then I come home and I have that routine of having about 8 hours sleep, my body just craved like a really long period of sleep. And over the weekend as well, I began to feel sick every time I ate, and it's so annoying because like I said, I wanted to feel like sickness, then I was like, oh no, I spoke too soon, and then now I do. So anytime I eat, I normally have like, again, I don't feel like I'm necessarily going to be sick, but it's the feeling of being like, feeling like you are is the worst, and it's definitely got stronger and stronger throughout the week. So I'm expecting like 7th and 8th week are going to potentially be where it might peak or just get progressively worse and worse, which I'm not looking forward to at all, especially as during the 7th week, me and 2 of the girls from work are going on holiday, which was definitely planned before this pregnancy, and we're going for like a girly weekend in Mallorca. Obviously I'm going to be sober, I'm not going to be drinking at all, but I'm just really worried about feeling tired all the time or like have any nausea and stuff, so I'm praying it doesn't get too much worse for that. So on the Friday of week 6, I'm all over the place, like these are not like correlating at all. So on the Friday I came home from work and I had a letter about my booking appointment, and I've been booked in with my midwife because when I saw the GP in week 4, he referred me to the midwife, and now I've got the appointment, and that's for the Tuesday after I come back from Mallorca. Luckily I have the day off from work for that, so I don't have to think of like a creative lie to get out of work or anything like that, so that's a slight blessing. So I have the booking appointment, and today I actually picked up pregnancy notes, which is again so weird. I just feel like I remember my auntie being pregnant like years ago and having those notes, and I was like, oh my god, like you're pregnant but that's so far away from me, and now I suddenly have them. It's really weird. So I need to fill those out ahead of the appointment, and that appointment is going to be, that will be within my 7th week, just before I turn 8 weeks. That'll be the day before I turn 8 weeks. And the only other note really to say in terms of symptoms is that I am feeling more sick throughout the week, and my bloating is so bad. Like, I feel like I look pregnant already because I'm so bloated, and I feel like my clothes look so frumpy on me. I'm having to wear like flowy dresses and cardigans to just like hide the fact that I feel massive. So in terms of a belly shot so far, I'm so bloated, which is why I'm like sticking out so much. It just like hurts so badly. But yeah, other than the bloat, like normally it'll be fine, but right now I just feel like so bloated, it's ridiculous. A mix of the bloating and the sickness just means I don't really want to eat, and when I eat I feel really sick, but I know that I have to, so it's just like forcing it down, and it's just not a good feeling at all. So that's kind of me up to date so far. The 6th week so far has obviously been the worst out of 4 and 5 and 6, but I'd expect that to get worse in time, and I think it's up until 12 weeks it's only going to get worse, and then when you enter the 2nd trimester, hopefully it will calm down a bit. So I'm just praying, like I said, that it doesn't get too much worse for my weekend away, because it's going to be horrible, like in transfers and stuff, feeling sick, and I don't know, I just like the fact that I can be at home at the moment and feel tired and just go for naps, whereas if I'm in a different country it's a bit like different, if you know what I mean. So that's kind of how I'm feeling. Rich is just so excited. It's so nice though, because when I came home with the pregnancy notes today, I kind of explained to him that I'll have to fill them out ahead of my booking appointment, and it'd be good to go through them together because it asks for like medical history, things like that, and it would just be good for me to like make sure that I'm doing it right. And you can just see the excitement in his face. Is just like, yeah, of course. And I've said to him so many times, like, does it feel weird knowing that like by the time Christmas comes, like we're going to be parents, like we're going to have a newborn baby at Christmas? And he's like, it doesn't feel weird at all, like it just feels like so good and like so right. And obviously that's so good to have that, because I don't know what I'd do if he'd be like freaking out as much as I am. And like I said, when I found out that I was pregnant, I couldn't believe that I was. I think it's slightly different because when you know that your body is going to go through so many changes, you're going to begin to have these symptoms. It's so much harder for the girl because so much changes internally in your body, and then, you know, gradually externally. It's actually like quite scary, and I'm not at all scared about the pregnancy or having a child at all. I'm just scared about how I'm going to be throughout the process, because I know what I'm like hormonal, and I just don't want this to be like, I don't want to feel negative at all. I really want it to be like as positive as it can be, and I don't really deal with sickness very well, so I'm praying that it doesn't get too bad. But I'm lucky that obviously when I am at home and if I'm off over the weekend, I can just sleep, and I know that Rich will help me as and when I need to. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at so far. I just wanted to mention the apps that I'm currently using. So I mentioned the Flow app, and I use that to monitor my periods when I came off the pill, when I wasn't too sure kind of when to expect it to come. And it now has like a pregnancy function, so you can see like the size of the fetus or the embryo at this stage. But to be honest, I don't really use this app so much for the pregnancy side, but when I was expecting my period and like tracking ovulations and stuff, like that was so good. I am thinking of doing like a trying to conceive video and like explaining our process and what we did and things, so let me know if you want to see that. And yeah, I'm thinking of doing like as many like pregnancy videos as I can, so let me know like what you'd like me to talk about, and then I'll definitely consider making a video for it. There's 2 other apps that I have. One of them is the Pregnancy Plus one, so this is a paid app, but you get the first like trimester free. I guess that's because like you're more likely, if something goes wrong, it'll probably be in the first trimester. So you'll see like what the baby looks like at this stage, and it's quite good because although you can't have scans so early in the UK through the NHS, if you want them earlier you'll need to go privately. You can see like scans, like it has different images, so you can see 2D scans of what it will look like, and you can see people's 3D scans, so it's quite reassuring that you can see like how big the baby is now. And it's also so weird because at the moment it's only the size of a grain of rice, which is so small, but in the 7th week it will be like a blueberry, and it's just like insane how like much it grows so quickly. So the Pregnancy Plus app is so good. You have like hospital bag options, kit counter, so you've got so much more in terms of like when you develop. It also gives you like guides, it helps you monitor your weight, your belly, your birth plan, appointments and to-do lists. I'm already beginning to get so forgetful, so to have everything in one place is really, really handy. So I think that I will probably buy the full version if everything goes okay. And this third app that I have, the second one that I really use, is the Ovia app. And this is again very similar to the Pregnancy Plus one. You can see the baby's hand when it grows. It doesn't yet have hands because it's so early on in the pregnancy, but when it hits week 8 you'll begin to see like a little hand, and then you'll see it grow week by week, which is pretty cool. It tells you the size of the like fetus at the moment. It's saying it's a blueberry, but every app is slightly different. Those two apps are really good, and I've been checking up with them daily just to read like articles and things like that. So yeah, that's kind of it so far. Feels very bizarre that I'm filming this. I don't know why. I know that I'm pregnant, but it just feels so weird. I think it's because obviously nobody really knows, and as soon as we hit 12 weeks and have a scan and we can tell people, then it's gonna feel so like much more real. The biggest thing for me that's really weird is like not telling work yet, and I don't plan to tell them until our 12th week. You have to tell them before like at least 15 weeks notice until you're going off on maternity leave. So I am going to tell them, but I want to make sure that everything's okay, and then have like a physical thing to show them, which is going to be really weird. Like I'm dreading that. Like that's the biggest thing I'm dreading, because I really like my job at the moment, and I just don't know, it's just like a bit of a worry, but I know that they'll be like accommodating to it. It's just like the fear of the unknown, and you don't know how people like that are going to react. So whilst we're really excited to tell everyone, like the closer we're getting to that, like the more nervous I'm getting. So yeah, that's kind of how I'm feeling, a bit of a roundup so far. I hope that you've enjoyed this video, and if you have, give it a thumbs up, and let me know down below if you are also pregnant at the moment, or if you know any tips or tricks for anyone that has perhaps more symptoms than I do. It'd be great to like talk about it in the comments and help anyone else. And if you're having symptoms and want a bit of advice, ask down below, and I'm sure that someone that is experiencing that will be able to help you out. So yeah, I hope that you guys have enjoyed this, and if you like pregnancy videos, I'm not going to upload just pregnancy videos on my channel, but I'm definitely going to be feeding them into like my weekly kind of plan. So if you enjoy these types of videos, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys very soon for my next update. Bye guys!